911. I'm Tyler Fingers. I'll be joining you the next hour with the top headlines and also the most up-to-date information on the weather. But let's start with a live look outside, high above Midtown and downtown Atlanta. You see all the gray clouds there? Well, it comes during a day we're expecting some possible severe storms to move through. And let's come back into our newsroom here and bring in our Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist, Alex Forbes. And Alex, just within the last little bit, we got a weather alert that you want to tell everyone about.
Yeah, so Cleburne and Randolph counties in Alabama in our television market now in a severe thunderstorm watch. So on Fox 5 Live Viper, we've got that right now, and we have warnings that are on the Georgia state line as we speak. Take a look up towards the Chattanooga area. You see these flashing yellow boxes. These are severe thunderstorm warnings for winds that are upwards of about 60 miles an hour. Not so much a hail maker, but a wind maker, and it's going to clip the northeastern part of Alabama briefly right in there, but then these storms are right in line for Dade, Walker, and Chattooga counties. Now, you might be looking at that going, well, it's still back into Tennessee. It's got to go through Alabama. Let me put just an hour loop on this, and you're going to see how quickly these storms are moving, right? It's a pretty decent line, and it's moving towards the southeast at about 35, 45, even 55 miles an hour at times. Now, here's the interesting thing. If I flip this over to the satellite, you are going to see a lot of cloud cover here across northern Georgia. There is some questions about how much this here is stabilizing the atmosphere. Nonetheless, as these storms continue to push south and east, they will have a strong storm risk along with them. So we'll see if that watch gets extended across the Georgia state line. You're also looking at the tale of two stories right now. Places that have seen sun and places that haven't seen sun. It's 78 in Carrollton, 75 in Atlanta, already 81 in Covington and 81 in Gainesville. Meanwhile, where we've held on to the cloud cover, we're still sitting in the mid-70s right now. This particular computer forecast model, not handling the storms well at all. In fact, they don't even have the storms on it. So we're just going to skip past it. And that's kind of to be expected this time of year with this type of system as it moves in. All right, here's your severe weather outlook today and tonight. You see northwest Georgia clipped by that level 2, but we do have a level 1 for everybody else through the afternoon. Not everybody's going to see rain, but those who do have that risk for potentially some severe storms. There we go into the mid-80s, showers and storms this afternoon. Here's the best news though, Tyler. Temperatures will remain warm through the days to come. Cool mornings, warm afternoons, but the humidity really drops across metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So that 81 Thursday, that 84 on Friday, those are going to be dry days. Saturday and Sunday mostly dry as well, with just some more clouds.
Yeah, it feels nice to finally see some possible nice sunny days for at least a nice stretch after the last week or
and
so.
A half.
Yeah, it's just been downright miserable outside, where dreary with that rain, and then also when it wasn't raining, it was just downright uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's going to be quite nice and perfectly lined up with the end of the week and the weekend. So pool days, lake days, make your plans now.
Alex, thanks so much for the update. And let's talk about some of our headlines that we're following right now. And I'm going to switch the graphic here. We're going to talk about that MARTA case. If you know, over the weekend, there was a deadly stabbing on a MARTA train. A woman was killed, and the suspect who you're looking at right now has waived his first court appearance this morning. This is his mugshot. Authorities say 25-year-old John Elijah Matthews is charged with murder in the death of 66-year-old Margaret Swan. Police say the deadly attack happened just after noon on Saturday on a MARTA train near the Oakland City Station. That is in southwest Atlanta. Now we're looking at some of the scene video that one of our photojournalists got. You can see police out there actively investigating. Investigators say MARTA police responded to reports of a stabbing on the train and quickly took Matthews into custody near the scene. Several witnesses reportedly saw the attack unfold. Emergency crews tried to save Swan's life, but sadly she died at the scene. The deadly attack comes as MARTA investigates a second stabbing on its system in just the past 2 weeks, raising new questions about safety on the transit network. And let's talk about another story we are following as we come back into our newsroom on this Monday afternoon. We've talked about this case a lot. A missing 20-year-old out of East Point. We learned some sad news on Sunday. His body has been found, according to his family. Family members say Georgia emergency search and rescue crews recovered the body of Derek Samuel in a wooded area behind the reserve at Red Wine Apartments. Samuel had been missing since April 29th, so a little over a month. Investigators say he was last seen after leaving a Target store at Camp Creek Marketplace. Over the weekend, dozens of volunteers from across the state joined the search effort. Crews used canines, boats, and ATVs to cover a large area near where Samuel was last known to be. Search organizers say a canine team alerted to a location in a wooded area behind the apartment complex, and that's where the body was discovered. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office will work to determine an official cause of death. We're waiting for that update. For now, family members are mourning the loss of a young man they spent weeks hoping to bring home safely. I want you to take a listen now to a little bit of what some search officials had to say.
Our canines was out with a couple of our guys, and they immediately spotted what needed to be searched and looked at, and it was an area that had not been confirmed that anyone was in. It's a little bit hard because the outcome, but I'm glad that they got closure and now they can move forward. But this is what we do. This is our job.
And East Point police said they were on scene assisting when the remains were found. Surveillance video reviewed by investigators showed Samuel did not appear distressed before his disappearance when he parted ways with two friends he was with. Those friends are said to have reported him missing after not hearing from him. Police later traced his cell phone to an area near Red Wine Road, but subsequent searches there and in Lithonia turned up no evidence. Loved ones had been desperate for answers during the month-long investigation and search, even offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to his return. They are now faced with the devastating reality of Samuel's death and ask for privacy as they navigate the next steps. I want to now take a moment to go to a statement that the family sent to us. It says, quote, I'm going to read it to you. It's on your screen right now if you're joining us. All of this is not the outcome. Although this is not the outcome we all prayed for, unfortunately, it has now become our reality. Thank you to everyone who has prayed on our behalf, and we ask that you continue to keep us covered in your prayers as we navigate this difficult time. It's hard, y'all. We just ask for some privacy to grieve now, please. And so what we don't know at this point, if we can go back to his picture real quick with one of our other, just so we can show you again, Derek Samuel, the circumstances leading to Samuel's death remains unclear. Officials have not yet confirmed the cause or manner of death as the investigation continues. Police said it also remains unclear whether Samuel walked away from the area voluntarily or if someone may have taken him. Authorities have not named any suspects or persons of interest in connection with the disappearance. Although the East Point Police Department confirmed they are actively investigating the case, they have not confirmed the identity of the remains found, despite Samuel's family claiming that it is him. Some sad news there. We already talked about the weather a little bit, but let's come back into our newsroom here and talk about June 1st. So if you have ever lived in a hurricane-prone area, obviously we see tropical systems come through the Atlanta area. Sometimes we can get the remnants of the system as it moves through after making landfall, maybe in the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf Coast, or even Georgia, Savannah, those types of areas. Well, today marks the official start of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. And while the storms may form hundreds of miles away over the Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, or the Caribbean, history has shown they can have a big impact here in Georgia, bringing heavy rain, flooding, damaging winds, tornadoes, and even power outages far inland. Forecasters are calling for a below-average season this year. According to forecasters, a weak La Nina is expected to transition into El Nino over the next few months, creating a moderate to severe El Nino for the peak of hurricane season. Emergency management officials are urging families to prepare now before a storm threatens the southeast, and that includes reviewing emergency plans, checking insurance coverage, stocking emergency supplies, and making sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. And let's talk about this. So obviously with the storm season beginning today, June 1st, our storm team is doing a severe weather special on hurricanes. They want to make sure you're up to date. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things before the risk of these types of storms pop up. So the Fox 5 storm team has been doing this for quite a while, working on this. They're going to take you through some of the worst hurricanes to hit our area in a hurricane special. You can watch it and be informed tonight at 7 on Fox 5 and, of course, right here on our free Fox Local app. So as we come back in, as we're approaching 1:10 on this Monday afternoon, I want to check in with our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza, who has been in contact with our crews for the last several hours. They've been working on stories. Tanya, what can you tell us, and what are our reporters working on today?
That's right, Tyler. We have several reporters out right now working on stories. Some of them are follow-ups from stories that broke over the weekend. Let's start off with that helicopter crash that took place over in the Dawsonville area. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, Tyler, but it was a tragic accident where 3 people were killed, and we are actually 2 people killed. Sorry. We are talking to the family of one of the victims, actually, and let me just kind of update this whole thing for you, though, because we were told by family members that not of the pilot, we don't have the pilot's ID yet, but Ray Yedena is currently doing an interview with family members of the other 2 victims, one of them who is deceased, and that person has been identified by family members as Dave Fiji, and his new bride she was on the flight as well, and her name is Jesney. Basically, we're working on the story. The family did confirm to Ray that the crash happened when they were leaving their wedding. Super sad story, Tyler. I don't know if you had heard any of these details, but Ray's going to break it down for our viewers. He'll have more on the investigation, the names, and the family. Tyler?
Yeah, they are newlyweds just celebrating their wedding. Incredibly tragic to have a crash like this happen. I can't imagine what that family is going through right now. Truly. But another story that's also tragic as well, a crash that I believe Tara Jabor is working on, where a mom was killed.
That's right. Tara, we actually received an email to the newsroom this morning about this, and we're trying to get details on this car crash. But basically, a mother was in a car, and it was a fatal accident. The mother is from Conyers. I believe this accident took place in Douglas County. We're trying to get the accident details confirmed by Douglas County Sheriff's Office or the Douglasville Police Department. But right now, we're speaking to the victim's family. They say that the car crashed after being sideswiped by another car. The car flipped, and a woman by the name of Aubrey Phillips passed away tragically. Now, her newborn survived, and they are trying to get the word out about child safety and inside of a car, and so she's talking to them about that, but obviously they have a GoFundMe for the family right now. I think that the other person in the car is still in ICU recovering. We're going to have all those details later, but that's what Tara is working on right now, Tyler.
And let's take folks south to the Noonan area cold case. Our Doug Evans getting details, over a decade ago? 2015, there was some sort of a murder case that now police are asking for help on?
Yes, that's right. The Noonan Police Department is asking for the public's help in solving a 2015 homicide case that remains unsolved a decade later. Detective Shauna Wade of the department's Criminal Investigation Division recently renewed the appeal for information in the death of Alzovian LaQuinton Martin. And he was known as Squirrel. That was his nickname. Doug Evans is going to do this story today. According to police officers, they responded on December 10th, 2015 to the area of 20 Calhoun Street after Martin's body was found in a creek alongside the roadside there. So they're working on that cold case. Doug Evans will have more. Hopefully, they'll get some leads from his story. Tyler?
Yeah, hopefully police are able to get the help they need in Noonan to be able to make this a possibility and get an arrest to happen so that they're able to help this family out and be able to bring some closure. All tragic stories we're working on, but hopefully, yeah.
Tyler, super tragic stories, and then you're stressing me out about hurricane season. You know, we always get stressed out when we hear hurricane season in the newsroom. So
Truly, any weather.
Hopefully, let's just put it out there that there will be no hurricanes affecting this area.
Yeah, I mean, especially, what was it, 2 years ago, we saw the flooding from the remnants of one of the storms moving through what Buckhead was underwater, I believe, at one point. Yeah, let's hope we have none of that happening. Tanya, thank you so much for the update on the stories that we're working on. I do appreciate it. We are going to take a quick break real quick. We're hopefully going to be checking in with one of our reporters who's standing by in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking about the World Cup. I don't see her up yet, but hopefully in the next little bit we'll be able to check in with her. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Soccer fans saw the U.S. men's national team take the field for the first time since that roster reveal last week. The U.S. beat Senegal 3-2 in a friendly game Sunday afternoon in Charlotte. And that's where we find Fox's Chelsea Torres. She is live in Charlotte for us this afternoon. And Chelsea, the FIFA World Cup kicks off in just, 10 days, less than 2 weeks out now. How does the team feel ahead of the big tournament?
Yeah, I mean, the World Cup is just right around the corner, and Sunday's game really was all about learned lessons ahead of the world's biggest tournament. And U.S. men's coach Mauricio Pochettino says that the team gave Senegal way too many opportunities, but overall, he was very positive about how he felt about the team and their competition heading into the World Cup.
Because I think in the way that we concede the goals, I think we need to improve and not to allow to the opponent to create the chances that we concede. But I think overall, I think it was a positive day.
Pochettino says the U.S. men's team showed commitment and talent on the field and says this is what they've been working on since day one. The U.S. went ahead early in a back-and-forth match, but midway through the second half, U.S. scored a decisive third goal, lifting the men's team to their first win since November. Pochettino says the win is a confidence boost to not only the team as a whole, but players and fans say they're feeling good ahead of the tournament.
You know, leading into a World Cup, it's a good result for us. Builds confidence, builds, just momentum towards what we're trying to do.
I mean, as long as we have no injuries, I think our team's going to be strong for the World Cup, and hopefully we can get far in it.
Now, the U.S. has another friendly next weekend in Chicago, and they'll face Germany, but their first World Cup game will be on June 12th in Los Angeles, and they will go against Paraguay. Back to you.
Chelsea, while we have you, was there something that stood out in the game yesterday that maybe we can expect during the World Cup or watch for?
Yeah, I think what was so interesting is that this was asked a lot during the press conference too. So typically there's already these mandatory water breaks in the games, and Pochettino has mentioned in the past that he doesn't like them because he feels like it slows down the momentum. Well, this time he took his dislike and turned it into his advantage. In one of those water breaks yesterday, he pulled out his laptop and he showed the players around him some game footage and different things that they need to work on and move forward. When asked about this, he said, more coaches should be utilizing these water breaks, because otherwise it's just another way to kind of make those changes in real time, have that film study, and then of course make any kind of tactical changes again that you need for the game to at least come and win the game. And so he felt it was definitely a lucrative and very necessary way to use these mandatory water breaks. Now, we did ask if this is something that he can do in the World Cup. He said, well, he's really not sure, but I guess we'll find out on that game one.
Chelsea, thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon. I know we're probably going to be checking in with you a lot over the course of the next, month and a half as the 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off, and then all the matches throughout the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Chelsea, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And let's continue on. I want to talk about some breaking news, if we can, real quick, that is just coming into our newsroom. So we talked about this a lot last year. Obviously, there was a key hearing today for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Reporters and the public are going to be allowed to attend a key upcoming hearing for him after a Utah judge on Monday denied a defense's request to restrict access. This is breaking right now. We're just getting the information coming in from Provo, Utah. Tyler Robinson's defense had asked the judge in the case to close portions of the preliminary hearing that is set for July 6th to the 10th, when prosecutors must show that they have enough evidence to warrant a trial. It will mark the most significant presentation of evidence to date in a case that has so far focused on matters of media access. Robinson's lawyers have tried to guard against media coverage that they say sometimes misrepresents their client, as his case has drawn tremendous public attention. The 23-year-old from southwestern Utah is charged with aggravated murder in the September 10th assassination of Kirk on the Utah Valley University campus. Prosecutors intend to seek the death penalty if Robinson is convicted, and he has not yet entered a plea. Prosecutors argued that preliminary hearing should remain open, but they agreed with the defense that media should be restricted from viewing or copying some exhibits that could be used in a future trial. They plan to introduce forensic analysis, surveillance video, recordings of witness statements, autopsy findings, and alleged messages from Robinson admitting to the crime. Again, breaking right now during a hearing this morning in Utah, Tyler Robinson, who you're looking at on your screen right now, had a hearing in court where the judge said that the reporters and the public will be allowed to attend that key upcoming preliminary hearing. Big test of the case is basically going to happen July 6th to the 10th, where they're going to have to present that evidence so that the judge can make the determination whether there is enough there to be able to proceed with the case. We'll obviously stay on top of this one and bring you updates as we get it. Let's take a second to come back into our newsroom here and talk about something a little bit different. This has to do with some medical news. So the White House recently released the results of President Trump's annual physical, offering a detailed look at the health of the nation's oldest sitting president. The report touched on everything from cardiovascular health to cognitive testing, and has prompted plenty of discussion about what these findings actually mean. Emory's Dr. Neil Winnower joined Good Day's Elise Edie today. Let's take a look at their conversation.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Hi. This is the position that you're in, right? When we all, look at the results, I can't imagine this being info on you that's out.
Well, when it came out, I'm like, oh, good, I have something to talk about on Monday.
It worked out really well for us. Okay, so let's get into what this found. This is of note. The report notes the president's weight has gone up 14 pounds from 224 pounds to 238 pounds. So how significant of an increase would you say that is?
Well, it's not alarming. strain, but our weight-bearing joints as we get older, our ankles and knees and hips develop arthritis, wear and tear. So carrying that extra weight isn't the best thing. Also, it's a risk factor for high blood pressure and diabetes and obstructive sleep apnea. And also, quite honestly, that can also affect your stamina, your breathing, your moving around. So in of itself, it's not alarming, but at 224, he needed to trim down already, so I think he's going in the wrong direction. So, but not drastic, but things you would say diet and exercise.
Okay, so that would be the advice there. So they also addressed his legs. They sometimes appear swollen, secondary to chronic venous insufficiency. So we've chatted about this before. Let's talk about this in regards to what was released.
Yeah, the blood has to have a way to get up out of your legs, and the way it does it is when you walk and your muscles contract, it squeezes the blood, and then the valves basically make it a one-way street. Think of it as like an escalator of blood going from your legs all the way back up to your heart. And when your valves aren't working well, blood can pool in the legs and swell. The treatment for that is elevate your legs at night, and then when you get out of bed in the morning, you put these tight compression stockings on. Rumor is he does not like to wear those stockings. They're not the most comfortable, but those are the things that help decrease the swelling. So it's not a big deal. If left unchecked, it can get more serious. But if you do the things you need to do, elevate your legs at night, wear these stockings, you can modify that and keep the legs from getting that swollen.
So Dr. Winter, there's also been some talk and, people zooming in on the president's hands. They see bruising, and the word from his camp is that he takes aspirin and frequently shakes hands. So he's supposed to be on, looks like 81 milligrams daily, but he takes 325 mg daily. So is that an issue? That's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, well, this is an evolving thing. The big question is whether he should be on aspirin at all, because actually when you look at the data, 20 years ago, we used to put people on low-dose aspirin as primary prevention, preventing the first heart attack or the first stroke. Now it shows that unless you've already had those conditions, putting yourself on it for primary prevention actually does more harm than good in most people over 70. So you talk about this bruising. This is minor bruising, and aspirin inhibits platelets, the cells that clot blood, and 81 should really be the maximum dose, because once you go over 81, it becomes even too much of a good thing, and that's what I think is happening here. The president may think that, 325 is better if 81 is helpful, but the reality is it starts shifting the balance towards bleeding. Now, he shakes a lot of hands, but so do a lot of other people, and they don't get bruising. So you can tell this is minor bruising. It's not major bleeding. But the concern is that if you don't need it to prevent heart attack or stroke, then you're at risk for an ulcer bleed or other things that aspirin can cause. And I want to be fair. I don't know the president's history in terms of did he have anything in the past that might make aspirin more helpful for him, but for people who are in otherwise good health, who haven't had a stroke or a heart attack, we don't really give preventative aspirin on people as they get older anymore, usually.
Okay. All right, let's talk about his heart health. So his doctor has said that an electrocardiogram estimated his cardiac age to be about 14 years younger than his actual age, which sounds good. So what's your take on that? Is that a real thing?
No.
Okay.
It's not real. I mean, it is. It's an emerging thing. It's an emerging thing, but we don't use it. What we use is what your blood pressure is, what your cholesterol is, how much exercise you can do. We'll do a calcium scan or other imaging stress tests to try to look. Those are the real things that we use to assess health. An electrocardiogram is an important test, but it's an electrical test. It doesn't show whether you have plaque or stenosis, and certainly doesn't show you when you're working hard and exercising and stressing the heart. So while it's interesting and it's an emerging thing, it's not something that I would discuss with a patient or tell a patient that they have. We just don't use that terminology.
Okay, so not putting too much stock into that particular one. All right, so finally we're going to talk about the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's a 10-minute screening test that's used to detect mild cognitive impairment. It looks like you did really well on that, 30 out of 30.
Yeah, no, I'll say we call this a MOCA for short, Montreal Cognitive Assessment, and yes, it does test attention, memory, language, executive function orientation. It tests a lot of cognitive spheres, and he did excellent on it. And so I think what you can say is that he doesn't have any cognitive issues, no signs of early dementia. This is not predictive of future scoring, but it is of itself an actually really good score. So, and this is something that we actually do use in practice quite a bit. So you couldn't do any better than he did on this assessment.
There you go. I mean, this seems like a very thorough releasing of the information here. I don't know that, like we mentioned, I'd want mine, to be everyone's business, but here we go. That's right in front of us, Dr. Winower.
Well, when you're the president of the U.S., the leader of the free world, it's important for everyone to be aware of that, and transparency is important when you're discussing and looking into these things. And I think he falls into the camp that many Americans do. You're doing pretty good, but you need to do better in certain areas, and that's usually what we tell our patients. This part is great, keep doing that, but how many patients, if I had $1 for as many patients as I said diet and exercise to,
you're a very rich man indeed.
I wouldn't be working. I might be on a yacht somewhere.
There we go.
So it's something that, we always tell people. So, but in general, I think he did well.
Good to know. Dr. Winower, thank you so much as always.
It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Good to see you.
And certainly an interesting conversation there. For more Good Day Atlanta segments, you can head to our website, fox5atlanta.com, or navigate over to the Good Day section on our Fox Local app. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1. We're back in just 2 minutes. And the time now 1:33 on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for sticking with us for Fox 5 News Live. I'm Tyler Fingert. Remember, this is an interactive news conversation. We are live streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course TikTok. I actually have TikTok open right now. I'm looking at your comments, so keep them coming, and we'll try to answer questions if you have any of them as we continue on this Monday afternoon. Let's talk about something that a lot of people I think are looking forward to, and it has to do with MARTA. If you ride MARTA, you know that the trains are super old. I think that's putting it lightly. Well, looking ahead, a first symbolic ride and a broader launch of what MARTA is calling the most technically advanced trains in the U.S. is set for later this week. The ceremony for local officials and the media will reportedly be held Thursday morning, which comes ahead of the World Cup. One train is expected to make a round trip between the Avondale and Georgia State stations, which copies the same route MARTA's first train ride took back back in 1919, so over 100 years ago. Several more new trains will be officially launched into service for the public later that day, and Fox 5 will be sure to bring you complete coverage here on Fox Local. And speaking of the World Cup, I was taking a look at a report this morning, and I want to tell you about it. So, with the FIFA World Cup kicking off later this month in the United States, a new report is giving Atlanta high marks as a host city for soccer fans. The Action Network's World Cup Fan Experience Index ranked Atlanta among the top host cities in North America, praising the city's accessibility, transportation options, and the ease of getting fans to major soccer events. The report found Atlanta offers some of the fastest travel times between hotels, transit options, and stadium venues among host cities analyzed. The study looked at factors including public transportation, walkability, hotel access, safety, weather, and overall fan experience. The ranking comes as Atlanta prepares to host 8 matches during the World Cup this summer, giving the city a chance to showcase itself on the international stage ahead of the World Cup, or for the World Cup rather. City leaders have spent years preparing for the global spotlight with improvements to transportation, public safety, and fan experience, all part of the plan. And so if this new report is any indication, visiting soccer fans may find Atlanta one of the easiest cities in the tournament to navigate. Super exciting to hear that Atlanta is going to be a popular place, and apparently we will get high marks ahead of the World Cup. And let's take you now to the world's busiest airport. If you ever circled Hartsfield-Jackson for a parking space, there's some good news. Look at this drone video that the airport released just within the last couple of days of their brand new south parking deck. Isn't she a beaut? Ooh, I can't wait to park in one of those spots because, you know what, it's the economy lot, so which means you're saving a little bit of money because it's a little bit further away from the actual south terminal. But as you can see, there's a pedestrian walkway on the right side there. The airport has officially opened the parking deck as of this morning, adding thousands of new parking spaces for travelers. The massive 7-level facility sits across from the South Domestic Terminal and spans about 3 million square feet. The project has been under construction since September of 2023 and is now open to the public. Airport officials say the new deck was built to make parking easier and more convenient. A pedestrian bridge, as I mentioned, connects the deck directly to the terminal, cutting down on walking time for travelers. The facility also features new technology designed to help drivers find open spaces more quickly. Green lights indicate available spots and red lights indicate they're taken. You get the idea. More than 2,000 cameras monitor the deck, and improved cell service helps keep travelers connected. Drivers with Peach Pass can also take advantage of a ticketless parking system that uses license plate recognition to automatically bill parking charges. Airport leaders say the added capacity comes at an important time as summer travel picks up and Atlanta prepares to welcome hundreds of thousands of visitors for this year's World Cup. Travelers are still encouraged to check parking availability online before they head to the airport. Let's check in, and as we come back into our newsroom here, we want to take a look at some of the stories that are trending on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and our Fox Local app. Our Jamison Moyer joins us. Jamison, this is your first time joining us here on the stream. First of all, super excited you're here. First of all, can you introduce yourself so people watching at home and joining us here on this interactive news conversation? Tell us about you.
Hey, Tyler. So yeah, I'm so excited to be on the stream for the first time. I'm a digital content creator. I previously worked in Charleston, and now I'm here in Atlanta, and I get to cover all different types of stories and write articles for the website. I've done a lot of breaking news and politics, but one thing that we're going to talk about soon is the gas tax. The gas tax suspension that was put in place by Governor Kemp is going to expire on Tuesday night at midnight. So if you're planning to hit the roads this week, you might want to go ahead and top off your gas tank. Governor Kemp hasn't said whether or not he'll extend it again, but that tax break has been saving drivers about 33 cents a gallon and about $14 a month on average while it's been in place. And that's also led to Georgia's gas prices sitting around $3.79 a gallon, which is a lot lower than the national average, which is a little over $4.30 a gallon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some good news. It's been understandable why they decided to suspend that gas tax. So it's going to be interesting to find out if Governor Brian Kemp decides that he wants to keep it longer, because I'm sure people watching who live here in Georgia would love to be able to save that money, at least for a little longer, with the prices way higher than we have come to expect over the course of the last year or so. But the good news is I was seeing a Gas Buddy report that says that gas prices have kind of dipped a little bit in the last week.
Yeah, they definitely have. So around Metro Atlanta, we're sitting at around $3.85, which is really positive. I know some states have much higher. And like I said previously, the national average is $4.30. But some people, you know, when prices start to climb, they try to save or put off filling up their tank until the last minute, but experts are saying from AAA that running too low on fuel can actually damage your fuel pump and lead to extensive repairs, adding in the cost. So just go ahead, if you are running low on gas, go ahead and fill up before that gas tax suspension expires.
Yeah, certainly good advice there. Let's kind of switch up what we're talking about. Another story people are clicking on our website has to do with a Georgia inmate who was able to escape federal prison. Kind of interesting there, because you don't really hear of people escaping federal prison all that often. What can you tell us?
Okay, so this is absolutely a wild story. Federal agents are searching for the inmate. He escaped from a minimum security prison camp in Jesup, and his name is Arthur Cofield. Now, if you remember that name, it's because he's the guy who allegedly stole millions of dollars from billionaire Sidney Kimmel. He used a contraband cell phone while he was already behind bars for an armed robbery conviction previously to set up the scheme where he stole the money from Kimmel. It's just absolutely crazy. Authorities haven't said how he got out of prison yet, but if you see anything or you know anything, they're asking that you call the U.S. Marshal Service right away.
Yeah, hopefully someone recognizes him and can help law enforcement bring him back behind bars. And hopefully, again, we're showing it to you right now live. If you happen to be out and about, you see him, of course, federal agents would love to be able to hear from you, U.S. Marshal Service, to bring this guy back into custody. So let's talk about something else. A lot of people, unfortunately, hear things like this. Salmonella. We're talking about another recall, and this has to do with milk, right?
Yes. So basically, there's a major recall on Motor City Pizza Company's 5 cheese bread. And basically what it is that a milk powder that was used in the seasoning blend might have salmonella. Now, the company says that tests have been totally clear so far, and there's been no sicknesses reported, but they're pulling it back just to be safe. This product was sold at major retailers like Costco, Kroger, Walmart, and Target. So if you bought this product and you have it sitting in your freezer, the best case scenario is just don't eat it. You can either throw it out or take it back to the store for a refund.
Yeah, certainly. If you have that, definitely. I've actually seen that exact same Motor City Pizza before at the grocery store. I've actually considered buying it. Have you had it?
I haven't had it yet, actually. I normally go for like the Kroger brand one is pretty good, honestly, and their crust is really good on that pizza. So
definitely don't eat it if you have it. For folks watching, Jameson, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure, and I hope we get to do this more often during the 1 o'clock hour.
Yes, absolutely. It was so nice talking to you, Tyler.
Jameson, thanks so much. And so let's come back into our studio here as we continue on this Monday afternoon. The time now just 1:43. We're taking viewers onto the set of a new comedy, The Breadwinner, which filmed at Trilith Studios. So it's now part of the Trilith Studio experience, which allows visitors to see the studio from a unique backstage perspective and learn about the movie making process. So we sent our Paul Milliken to check it all out. Let's take a look.
Hey guys, so the movie The Breadwinner just opened in theaters. It's getting great reviews, did great business over the weekend, and guess what? It filmed right here at Trilith Studios in Georgia. And look, if you're watching the movie and you're like, I love that house, I want to see what it looks like in person, you can, thanks to the Trilith Foundation and people like our good friend Tia. I'm so happy to see you.
So happy to see you. Yes. Always feels great when you come down to visit.
We love Trilith and we love the Trilith Foundation, but in case folks don't don't know, what is the mission of the Trilith Foundation?
Well, the Trilith Foundation, we are to enrich the lives of story makers who inspire the world. And some of the ways that we inspire is through our programs, resources, and our experience tour, which you are about to experience here today. So I'm so excited for you to walk in and see the secret surprise that is waiting for you inside.
I am too. So the Studio Experience Tour is a really neat opportunity for people to literally get on the sound stages and see how the magic happens.
Yes. So when you come take a tour, not only do you see the town, do you see the studios, but you also sometimes now get to come and experience a live set, which we're very excited about.
This is so cool. So I'm going to leave you here. I'm so sorry to leave you, Tia.
Okay.
But I got to go home. This is my new house now. Let's walk inside. Our pal Austin waiting. Austin, it's so good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you again. And this is amazing. So tell us where we are standing right now.
Well, this is the actual set from the brand new movie, The Breadwinner, featuring Nate Bargatze, so many incredibly talented cast and crew. But this is, because of them, gifted as part of the tour right now for guests. And what I love, it's truly from the foundation point of view. This set, I mean, you literally think you are stepping into someone's home.
You really do. What's nice is that when you're on a set like this, is that you really get to see the details and the important jobs that people have on movie sets. Because there is somebody that has a whole team of people that make sure that the house looks like it's a real lived-in place.
100%. This is, we like to say, it's a celebration of all the artists, the artisans, the set designers, the set decorators. All of it comes to life, especially when you're walking through it, because you can see the detail that might fly by during the movie.
Yeah, and what's great, too, is that over at Trilith Live, we were there earlier today, you've got a state-of-the-art movie theater. The Breadwinner is playing there now, so you could go see the movie and then come take a tour and step into the movie.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the best part about it. I saw it at Trilith Live on Friday. It was just, the theater was full. It felt great. It's such a good experience, a heartfelt film for the whole family. And then, like you said, you can actually walk through the sets, and it's such a central character to the film as well. And there's funny parts I don't want to ruin that if you go see it.
No, we're not going to, no spoilers around here, because we want you to go see the movie. It is in theaters right now. But again, just to look at the details in here, it really is incredible. And so when people are on the Studio Experience Tour, what do you think they're taking away from that? Why should people come and do the tour?
Well, for us, it's really about celebrating this industry and really enriching the lives of story makers, right? And so our hope for every guest is that they would leave inspired, that they would leave feeling enriched, that human flourishing component that's so important to us as it relates to mental enrichment, physical enrichment, and this idea that we're all creative. And so this is just one expression of how so many different creatives come together and do it in the movie business.
It really is. And the tour is so great, too. I mean, you just are with good people, and you meet interesting people, and you get to see a side of movie making that most of us never get to see. So I want to show our viewers something very cool that we just did. Okay. I want you to see this selfie. Yes, that's a selfie with Nate and my crew right here at Trilith. If you want to know how we took that selfie, you got to come take the tour, right?
You got to do it. Yeah, go see the movie and then take the tour right after so you can see it come to life.
And last question, is there like a bedroom upstairs I could stay in? Because this is nicer than my house.
You know what's funny? This actually doesn't lead anywhere, but that's movie magic for you.
That is the movie. Well, I'm going to build a bedroom because I don't want to leave. Again, this is the amazing Trilith Studios in Fayetteville. Come now to the Trilith Experience Tour.
Paul, thank you so much for a look inside at that. I think that will be incredibly fun to take the family to, and I think a lot of people are going to probably take advantage of that. So I want to talk about some breaking news right now that we just are getting into our newsroom. We talked about the suspect accused in that MARTA train stabbing. So you're looking at his mugshot right now. But just within the last couple of minutes, Fox 5 and I obtained the warrants for John Elijah Matthews. So it's shedding some light and details about what we're learning about the suspect who allegedly stabbed this woman on the MARTA train over the weekend. According to his criminal warrant for murder, police say that he stabbed her 18 to 20 times unprovoked and then threw her to the ground of the MARTA train on Saturday. And so apparently, according to the first responding officers, they actually found the woman who is identified as Margaret Swan lying in a pool of blood on the actual MARTA train. They tried to obviously save her life. Unfortunately, she died at the scene, and then police were able to quickly take the suspect into custody on the north end of the platform, if I'm reading this correctly from the warrant that we just got in just moments ago. Obviously, the suspect, John Elijah Matthews, who you're looking at your screen, is now facing a murder charge after allegedly stabbing this woman, who's identified as Margaret Swan, approximately 18 to 20 times unprovoked, and then threw her to the ground of the MARTA train. And according to this tragic story, when I'm reading on this warrant that I'm just reading for the first time right now, it says he actually slit her throat. Obviously, this is going to be a case we're going to be following. This comes right as the World Cup is getting ready to kick off here. We're going to be learning and diving deeper into this warrant and bring you updates throughout the afternoon here on Fox Local. Certainly a tragic story there. As we come back into our newsroom, we are going to take a quick break. Fox 5 News Live at 1 continues after this. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We are so glad you're here. The time now 1:52 on this Monday afternoon. The nation's top high school money mines are in Atlanta today, and students from 33 states are competing at the Federal Reserve Bank that is in Midtown in the National Personal Finance Challenge. And they're testing their knowledge of everything from investing to budgeting. Let's check in with our Eli Jordan, who is joining them in Midtown. Eli, this sounds like an interesting competition.
It is an interesting competition, Tyler. Yeah, I mean, they're down here at the Federal Reserve in Atlanta. Kids from all over the country, over about 150 kids from all over the country. We had Rockdale and Lambert high schools here. Rockdale and Lambert, they didn't advance, but I have some kids here who did advance, and it's real interesting because I did hang out inside one of the quiz rooms where some of the schools advanced, and there's some tough questions in there. You know, it's like your old quiz board, classic, you know, high school game show stuff. But I'm here with kids from Chandler, Arizona, at Hamilton High School, correct? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
All right, so I am with Visruth and Shrieker and Vishal, and you guys started today, but you didn't quite advance. But you flew out here from Arizona. Just tell me, I mean, what's the experience been like? What it's like when you go in there and you try to advance? How tough is it, and what all have you learned?
Yeah.
Let's start with you.
Yeah, it's a very tough competition. Students from all over the world, from all over the United States, from very top tier schools. People going to very prestigious colleges, coming here, competing, and we've learned a lot. We've gotten new connections, met new people, and we've also seen how to prepare for next year so we can actually win the competition. We've seen like the errors we've made, and next year we're looking on to improve these errors to move on next time to round of 16.
So you guys are a rising seniors, so you guys will be back. I mean, Schrager, you think you guys will be back? Are you going to be back next year?
Well, obviously we hope to be back, and we're going to be competing. So hopefully you'll see us out here next year too.
So what is some skills that you have learned possibly along,
some skills?
This
well,
experience?
I think more so just how to tailor your responses to the format, especially for the case study and the quiz bowl. It's very important to prepare exactly for how the format is.
You've learned how to win the competition, but what about winning in life and making the right investments and right choices?
Well, yeah, I guess something good that we've learned is how to take a step back and be objective and analyze the best strategy for any given scenario.
So Vishal, what about you? What do you take away from this whole experience here in Atlanta?
So I mean, from this competition, at least right now with the growth in AI, we see a lot more objective personalities and choices when it comes to finance. But from this competition, I've learned that you have to be more humanistic about the choices you make. You really need to understand what their passions are. Not everything is just the money, but also what it represents to the person. So I think I learned a lot from this competition.
In high school, there's a lot of talk about they don't teach. There's not much financial education in high school. Do you guys find that the same out in Arizona? And how useful is a game like this, an event like this?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of schools don't have personal finance programs, especially in Arizona, where a lot of schools, the basic courses are marketing or economics, but we don't really teach personal finance, which is really important in today's society. As when you want to move forward, be successful, financially literate, you want something to grasp on, something you want to learn about, and I feel like Arizona should be implementing personal finance programs so students are more successful in the long term in life, not just with their careers, but with investing, with stocks, with making their portfolios, and et cetera.
I mean, because, what you guys gotten into here, your interest, finances stuff, that's something all of us are going to, all your peers, all your, contemporaries are going to be dealing with when they get out on their own. And that's going to be one of the biggest issues of just living life is learning how to properly have your finances.
Yeah.
So you guys know any good stocks to short or anything like that? Or,
So
what's it like being here at the Federal Reserve, though, in Atlanta? It's pretty cool being where they print money, right?
Yeah.
You guys ever been to the Southeast before?
No, it's our first time.
Really first time, yeah.
Well, maybe, if they have the event here next year, you can come out and check it out. But congratulations on making it this far, and hopefully the rest of your trip will be cool and find out who wins this, take it all home. Out of Hamilton High School in Chandler, Arizona. Tyler, those are just 3 of the people here that are checking things out and trying to win and move on, but they didn't move on today and hope to next year. I'll kick it back to you from the Federal Reserve here in Atlanta.
Yeah, good luck to the other ones who are still competing. I mean, certainly interesting. I could never do it.
They're going
Eli,
at it.
Yeah, thanks so much for the look at this competition. Eli, thank you. And thank you for joining us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. The news at 2 and 3 o'clock will continue in just 2 minutes. Our Jasmine Cornell will join you at 2, and Tom Haynes will see you at 3. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here at Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Thanks for joining us this streaming hour. Let's talk weather first. A lot happening today, and we're looking at a possible risk of some severe weather. Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes is joining us live to talk about this, and he has all you need to know.
Jasmine, that's right. As we work our way through the day today, we're tracking a line of storms moving in from the north into the west, and we got some interesting dynamics at play here across northern Georgia. First and foremost, a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the counties that are bordering Georgia here, just across the Alabama line. That does include Cleburne and Randolph counties. It's for the storms that we're looking at that are in northern Alabama. Now, the million-dollar question is, what happens to the storms as they get into Georgia? So you see a smattering of severe thunderstorm warnings from Huntsville across to the Mississippi line. We did have one with this storm in far northeastern Alabama earlier, but that storm is running into some stable air, and thus it lost the warning, right? It's not as intense. You see it back into Tennessee. As it was moving south, it's really losing its punch. But those storms back towards Huntsville, moving down towards Birmingham, they are picking up some steam. Now, here's the interesting thing to note. Notice you're starting to get a couple of showers there on the leading edge of the storm. What's happening is these storms are moving in as our atmosphere is destabilizing. This deck of clouds that we had over northwest Georgia through the late morning and early afternoon helped keep things pretty stable. Well, now they're eroding, which means the atmosphere is becoming more unstable as these storms push down to the south. So the million-dollar question is, have we hit a lull and they come back up? Or have they lost enough steam that they're not going to be strong at all when they come in towards northern Georgia? And that's what we're going to be tracking here for the hours to come. The graph model here has the storms coming down in towards northwest Georgia and still firing off some impactful weather as far east as the western metro, Cherokee, Cobb, even the city of Atlanta there, before it pushes down to the south. Later on this evening, scattered showers left across the mountain counties, and then we will quiet down through the overnight hours here. Into tomorrow, looking for some scattered showers, no risk of severe weather. In fact, we might not even see lightning out of this. Temperatures in the 70s tomorrow, and then we'll pick that back up in terms of 80s by the time we get towards the latter half of the week. As for today, though, here's the severe weather threat. You see that level 2 from Dalton to Rome and northwest Georgia. That's it. A level 1 for everybody else. That includes Metro Atlanta, I-85, I-75, I-20, the whole kit and caboodle here across the area. Not everybody is going to see storms today, but those who do could see a damaging wind gust upwards of about 60 miles an hour and a low risk of some small hail before all is said and done. So we've got this very sticky air mass in place. Changes are on the way, though, by the time we get towards Wednesday and Thursday. A breeze down the south side of the Appalachian Mountains is going to usher in some drier air here across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia, and that is going to feel quite nice. Here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. 79 tomorrow, 78 on Wednesday. And then we are back to the 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Jasmine, what you don't see here is a rain chance, and that is fantastic. Dry air, no rain chance. Side us up first week of June. Enjoy it, because that is atypical for this time of year.
Very atypical. These temperatures are really low. I mean, I'm curious to know what's the lowest temperature, the record low we've seen at the start of June.
At the start of June, probably in the 40s. I can go look, but if I had to guess, probably the 40s. Well, because you're talking about a record, so that's an extreme. It doesn't happen very often, but the 50s, that's only going to be about 7 to 8 degrees off the average.
All right, Alex, thanks so much for joining us to talk, joining us live to talk about weather. We'll check in with you a little bit later this afternoon. And guys, like Alex just mentioned, today marks the official start of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. While the storms may form hundreds of miles away over the Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, or the Caribbean, history has shown they can have a big impact here in Georgia. As you all know, we've seen plenty of hurricanes like Hurricane Helene recently. It brings heavy rain, flooding, damaging winds, tornadoes, and even power outages, down trees, all of that. So forecasters are calling for a below average season this year. And according to forecasters, a weak La Nina is expected to transition into El Nino over the next few months, creating a moderate/strong El Nino for the peak of hurricane season. Emergency management officials are urging families to prepare now before a storm threatens the southeast. And that includes reviewing your emergency plans, checking insurance coverage, stocking emergency supplies, and making sure you have everything you need to know or everything you need for a severe storm. Also, make sure you have your weather alerts turned on, and to help you prepare for hurricane season before the risk of the severe storm rises, the Fox 5 storm team will be taking you through some of the worst hurricanes to hit our area and a hurricane special that our team has been working on. And you can watch it and be informed tonight at 7 right here on Fox Local. You don't want to miss that. Let's get into our local headlines this afternoon. That is some sad news to report here in East Point, Georgia. The body of a missing 20-year-old has been located, according to his family, and he was found behind an East Point apartment complex following a month-long search. So the family says Georgia emergency search and rescue crews discovered the body of Derek Samuel, who you just saw on your screen, in a wooded area behind the Reserve at Red Wine Apartments. So this finding follows an extensive weeks-long effort to locate the 20-year-old who vanished after leaving a Target store at Camp Creek Marketplace on April 29th. On Sunday, yesterday, volunteers from the Georgia Emergency Search and Rescue Team came together from all over the state to look for the missing 20-year-old using dogs, boats, and ATVs. Organizers say a K-9 hit on a location in a wooded area behind the Reserve at Red Wine, and that's where the body was located. Let's take a listen to what one person had to say.
Our canines was out with a couple of our guys, and they immediately spotted what needed to be searched and looked at, and it was an area that had not been confirmed that anyone was in. It's a little bit hard because the outcome, but I'm glad that they got closure and now they can move forward. But this is what we do. This is our job.
And you just heard from Angel Alonzo with Georgia Emergency Search and Rescue, who helped find the missing 20-year-old there. And some more details about this story here. Now, East Point police say they were on scene as well, assisting when the remains were found. Surveillance footage reviewed by investigators showed that Samuel did not appear distressed before he disappeared from that Target, and when he parted ways with his two friends. Those friends are said to have reported him missing after not hearing from him. So police later traced his cell phone to an area near Red Wine Road, but searches after that in that area and in Lithonia turned up no evidence. Loved ones had been, searching for answers here for weeks during this search, and they even offered a $15,000 reward for information leading to his return. However, now they are faced with the devastating reality of Samuel's death, and they do ask for privacy as they navigate the next steps here. They did release a statement saying, quote, "Although this is not the outcome we all prayed for, unfortunately, it has now become our reality. Thank you to everyone who has prayed on our behalf, and we ask that you continue to keep us covered in your prayers as we navigate this difficult time. It's hard, y'all. We just ask for some privacy to grieve now, please." End quote. The circumstances leading to Samuel's death do still remain unclear. Officials have not yet confirmed the cause or manner of death as this investigation continues. Police say it also remains unclear whether Samuel walked away from that area voluntarily or if someone may have taken him. And of course, we'll continue to update you on the sad story as we learn more. Well, a deadly crash brought traffic to a standstill on I-85 in Jackson County during the morning commute today. And according to Georgia State Patrol, this crash happened just before 246 this morning on I-85 southbound near Highway 129. Investigators say a Ford van and a tractor trailer collided on the interstate. The driver of that van was pronounced dead at the scene. Their identity has not yet been released. The crash forced the shutdown of all southbound lanes for hours as troopers and emergency crews worked the screen. And shortly before 7 this morning, traffic began moving again. The Georgia State Patrol's specialized collision team is now investigating what caused this crash. Again, one person is dead following this early morning crash on I-85 southbound in Jackson County. Well, we now know the names of both the victim and the suspect in the deadly stabbing on the MARTA train over the weekend. 25-year-old John Elijah Matthews is accused of fatally stabbing a 66-year-old woman from Atlanta named Margaret Swan on the MARTA train at the Oakland City Station on Saturday. Matthews is charged with murder. MARTA police officers were called to the train for a stabbing around noon Saturday, and police officers arrested Matthews on the scene immediately near the train after several witnesses saw this violent attack take place. Hard to picture, to be a rider here and to experience this and see this very scary situation. Emergency medical workers attempted life-saving efforts, but sadly, Swan died on scene. MARTA calling this a senseless act of violence. Matthews was supposed to appear in court today, but he did waive his appearance. And we're still working to learn more details on this. Investigators have not yet confirmed what happened in the moments leading up to the attack, or whether Swan and Matthews, the victim and suspect there, knew each other beforehand. Another story that we're learning more details on and following here, the crash that happened in Dawson County over the weekend. A Robinson R-66 helicopter carrying 3 people crashed in a wooded area Friday night. Fox 5's Ray Urena joins us live. Ray, this is such a sad story. We've been hearing so much about the victims involved.
Yeah, Jasmine, we were able to talk with the family of one of the victims who they have identified as Dave Fiji. That's their son's name, and that was the groom that was in that helicopter. They say that Dave and his wife, Jesney, were in a helicopter as part of their wedding. This is what a helicopter send-off that they had to their wedding. They were leaving their venue in Dawson County and they were heading to DeKalb Peachtree Airport before the couple would then drive to downtown Atlanta to stay in a hotel. And this is what went down so far. So the family tells me that a couple days before they were going through the rehearsals for the wedding, they say that the weather was looking to be an issue, but thankfully during the actual wedding itself, they described it as a perfect wedding. They say that the weather held out for them and they had hundreds of guests from all over the country flying in to come see them. They had some of their closest friends there. They say that they were so happy, both Dave and his wife Jesney. Now, after that wedding concluded, there was apparently some rain that moved in, and that's also what apparently may have led to this helicopter crashing in Dawson County just shortly after their wedding. But the family says that they were just so happy and they were living in the moment. And the Dawson County coroner, in just the last few minutes, has identified the pilot's name. His name is Nikhil Nargundar. I'm going to just double check that real quick. Yep, Nikhil Nargundar. That is the name of the pilot that was also killed. So Nikhil was killed as well as Dave was killed when the helicopter crashed, and Jesney was taken to the hospital. And good news from the family of Dave's mother tells me that Jesney is expected to be discharged from the hospital either later today or later this week. But I just want to show you a clip of that interview that we had with the parents not too long ago near their house here in Gwinnett County, of them talking about why their son and why they were concerned about the helicopter tour and the helicopter send-off in the first place. Take a listen.
That was just part of the wedding package. Initially, it was going to be called off because of weather concerns. However, when the chopper came in, the pilot was very confident that it wouldn't be an issue, even though it had started raining. My son himself, being a pilot, did raise concerns about not needing to fly in that weather, but still there was very low visibility. But with his confidence, and since Dave doesn't fly helicopters, he went with his perspective of being able to make that. Since it's just a 20-25 minute flight, they did take off, and I don't think they lasted too long in the air.
And you heard his mother, Faba, there mention that Dave was a pilot. The family tells me that he was working right during when he died for Endeavor Airlines as part of Delta. He says he was flying their CRJ type aircraft as part of his job, and it's something that he's always wanted to do. They say that he was a first officer with Endeavor when his life was cut abruptly short. Now the family says that they are working on his wake and his funeral. They're still going through the final planning stages of that, but they did tell me that they are leaning very heavily on their faith to get them through this process right now. Jasmine.
Well, Ray, thanks for the update there. I can't imagine, this couple just got married and they were coming from their wedding, and this tragic accident, this helicopter crash happened. So thoughts and prayers are definitely with that family. Thanks so much, Ray, for joining us. And guys, time is 2:18. When we return, we'll talk about some more local news. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's talk about baseball and the NCAA baseball tournament leading to the College World Series. What an exciting time. I know that regional games were held over the weekend in Athens and here in Atlanta. So what's next here for Georgia Tech? Let's bring in our Justin Felder. He has more information. And Justin, it's good to see you.
And it's good to see you two as well. It's good to be talking about baseball on a Monday. I know some Georgia Tech fans would have been wishing this thing would have been wrapped up over the weekend, but here we are on a make or break win or stay at home game for Georgia Tech as they take on the Oklahoma Sooners in the final game of the NCAA Atlanta Regional. I'm going to flip around the camera right now as you can take a look. The Oklahoma Sooners are taking a little fielding practice right now live at Russ Chandler Stadium about 40 minutes before they face off with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, here's the deal. It's a double elimination tournament. One of these two teams will advance to this coming weekend's Super Regionals. Now, yesterday, Georgia Tech had a big lead over Oklahoma. They were up 8-2. However, it was the Sooners who came back and got the win, forced this winner-take-all, winner-move-on game here on Monday. You can see the crowd is starting to fill in. It's the middle of the day. It's about 1,000,000 degrees, but folks at the ticket office told me sold out. Every single ticket is sold, standing room only included, so they're expecting a great crowd here. Now, looking at the bigger picture of college baseball right now, Georgia Tech is the number 2 national seed. The number 1 national seed was UCLA. They were eliminated. So Georgia Tech is the top remaining team in all of college baseball, according to those rankings. UGA, by the way, they wrapped up their regional on Sunday. They are already on to the Super Regional. So it is still a possibility that not just one, but 2 teams from the state of Georgia could go to the College World Series. Up first for Georgia Tech, though, they're trying to take care of business, try to beat Oklahoma. That game's starting at 3 p.m. We'll let you know how it goes this afternoon on Fox 5 and on Fox Local.
Justin, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. And for those who don't know, I don't know much about the College World Series, so tell us about this. How big is this?
It would be huge. Look, the College World Series is one of the biggest events in college sports. Tell you what, I know you're tired of looking at me. Let's watch Oklahoma take some fielding practice right now. The top 8 teams in college baseball will advance to the College World Series in Omaha. And if you're not familiar with the format, it is a little different than what we're used to in basketball or the college football playoffs. So this round is called the Regionals. 4 teams go to these individual sites. So there were 4 teams here at Georgia Tech. The top team moves on. It's double elimination. So you play until everybody except the winner has 2 losses. So that's what we got, make or break here. If you advance from this coming weekend are the Super Regionals. That is a 2-team best of 3 series. If Georgia Tech wins today, they will host a Super Regional this weekend, and UGA is hosting a Super Regional this weekend in Athens. Winner of the Super Regional, you are on to the College World Series, heading to Omaha, which would be a huge accomplishment for these Yellow Jackets, and Dog's still alive as well.
All right, Justin, thanks again for joining us. We know you'll have a lot of fun out there and give us updates as these games continue. Thanks, Justin. Time right now is at 2:24. When we return here, we're going to continue with some of our headlines and talk about the debates that are happening today and that were held yesterday as well. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. The Atlanta Press Club has been hosting primary runoff debates. They started yesterday and continue today. Around 1:30 today, the Republican governor's debate was held. This is a very closely watched race here. If you remember, during the primary election, Burt Jones and businessman Rick Jackson advanced to the June 16th runoff after neither candidate secured a majority of the vote. But only Burt Jones showed up to this debate here. Let's take a quick listen to some of it.
All right, so that concludes our first round. And Burt Jones, you can now ask a question to your opponent represented by the empty podium, and you will have 30 seconds to ask the question, and then you got 20 seconds to give a rebuttal to how you think your opponent may have responded. So those are the ground rules of where we are proceeding right now.
All right. Well, Jeff, I'll talk to you since there's nobody over here to the left for me to talk to. But I will say this: that if my opponent was here, if Jackson was here, I would just ask him very simply, you know, what is the deal with the Medicare fraud and the $750,000 in settlement money that he paid the Department of Justice? I would ask him about his campaign contributions to Stacey Abrams, as well as Liz Cheney and Jeff Duncan, and his association with organizations like Planned Parenthood. And last but not least, I would ask him about the question I tripped him up on last time he was on stage. How many illegals do you have working for your company? How many illegal immigrants do you have working at your home? And obviously he couldn't answer that question then. It's probably the reason why he's not here now is he doesn't have any answers for these questions that have been asking. And of course, like I said, it just shows a man's character when he won't show up and take questions and Q&A from journalists or whoever else wants to ask you the questions.
All right, Mr. Jones, thank you. You are watching the Republican runoff debate for Georgia Governor. Rick Jackson declined to participate due to a scheduling conflict and is represented by an empty podium. And we're going to go back to the panel.
And again, as you just heard the moderator say there, Rick Jackson did skip out on this debate due to a scheduling conflict. But let's talk a little bit more about this race. Early voting starts on Monday, June 8th. The runoff election will be on Tuesday, June 16th. And we know that the winner of this runoff will face former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who officially became the Democratic nominee for governor last month. So again, a closely watched race here. And be sure you head out and vote on June 16th. And sticking with these debates here yesterday, the Atlanta Press Club held a debate for the lieutenant governor's candidates. And in that race, candidates from both sides of the aisle are pivoting to the June 16th runoff election. So Democratic candidate Josh McLaurin he secured the most votes in May's primary election, finishing ahead of Nabila Parks, who you see there on your screen. However, again, because no candidate secured a majority here, both are heading to the runoff. And on the GOP side, Republican State Senator John F. Kennedy is facing State Senator Greg Dolezal. Let's take a listen to both debates here. The opening statements of each candidate, starting with the Democratic candidates.
Thank you so much, Ms. Greer, and thank you to the Press Club. It's so good to be back. I want to start out by saying I'm so grateful to the over 1 million Democratic voters that showed up on Tuesday, May 19th to make our voices heard. It's undeniable proof that we're ready for November. We're going to win, and I'm going to do everything I can to get Governor Keisha Lance Bottoms elected, along with Senator John Ossoff for his re-election. Look, this is about playing as a team. You need a fighter in the arena who's going to show up and deliver results. And that means you have to play well with others. I'm so honored to be endorsed by over 60 of my state legislative colleagues. And since we last had the previous debate, I've been honored to be endorsed by Stacey Abrams, who has done so much work to transform Georgia politics. And in addition, I've been endorsed by the Young Democrats of Georgia, Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, Georgia Equality, and many other groups, because they trust me to lead in a moment where we need fighters who show up and stay in the arena. On June 17th, we have a special session under the new Supreme Court decision that will determine the future of black voting power in Georgia. I'm the only candidate in this race that will be there to fight.
Nabila Parks, tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Nabila Parks. I was twice elected to the state Senate.
I'm a proud mother of 3 and also the proud daughter of working class immigrants from Bangladesh. My parents came to this country seeking the American dream, and they worked working class jobs to give me and my little brother a life they never had. I grew up attending Gwinnett County Public Schools. I grew up on free and reduced lunches, and with the help of the Hope Scholarship, I worked my way through Georgia State University, becoming the first person in my life to graduate from college, in my family to graduate from college. Now, my life experiences have informed my work, and that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor, because we need a fighter who's going to fight for working class families like mine and the family that I grew up in. We need to protect our fundamental freedoms like our reproductive rights and our voting rights, and we also need to expand Medicaid in the state of Georgia. And we need a fighter who's going to take the fight to MAGA Republicans and hold them accountable for the harms that they have caused our communities.
Well, thank you so much. Hello, Georgia. My name is Greg Dolezal. I'm a husband, a father of 4, and a small business owner. Senator Kennedy, I respect your service to the state, and I've got to admit, running against a guy named John F. Kennedy is what my dad used to call Dolezal luck. And now I can't compete with the name, but I think I can compete with the record. In the state Senate, I led on school choice, banned DEI mandates in public schools, wrote the Riley Gaines Act to keep men out of women's sports. And when Fonnie Willis came after President Trump, I stood up and went after her. Right now, Georgia families are getting crushed by the cost of gas, groceries, and exploding property taxes, all while politicians take care of the special interests. And that's why I'm in this race. Georgia doesn't belong to the special interests. It belongs to you. And I'd be honored to be your next lieutenant governor.
Thank you so much, John F. Kennedy.
Karen, thank you, and good afternoon. Thank you for having us, and thanks to the Atlanta Press Club and also to the panelists who will be questioning us. And most importantly, thank you to Georgians who are going to tune in to be involved in the political process. I'm John F. Kennedy. I'm a lifelong Georgian. My wife, Susan, and I have been married 33 years. We live in Macon, where we have reared our 2 children. But I'm originally from a small town in Georgia named Adrian, where family, faith, and hard work still matter. My family instilled in me service and responsibility. That ultimately led to me serving in the Senate for 11 years and being privileged to get to serve in the highest office in the Senate, being elected as the President pro tem, where I worked hard for conservative values but also delivered results. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor because I want to keep Georgia growing, I want to keep Georgia learning, and I want to keep Georgia safe. Georgia needs a Lieutenant Governor with conservative leadership that's got a track record of operating with trust and integrity and getting the job done, and I'd be honored to have your support.
And again, you just heard from candidates in the race for lieutenant governor, Democrats and Republicans. Election day for the runoff is Tuesday, June 16th. Time right now is 2:34. When we return, we'll take you out to Conyers. A sad story there. Tara Jabor is covering, and we'll talk to her next. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Some sad news to report this afternoon. An 18-year-old killed in a recent car crash, leaving a 4-month-old baby behind. Fox 5's Tara Jabor joins us live from Lithia Springs. And Tara, such a sad story here. You were able to speak with the victim's family.
Jasmine, that's right. This really is a sad story and a devastating story for a family. Now, this crash happened here behind me. This is Thornton Road and Waterway Circle in Lithia Springs. The family told me that their daughter, Aubrey, was in a car that was hit by a truck. That car then flipped over and crashed near a utility pole. Now, Georgia State Patrol is investigating this crash. I reached out to them for the report, and I'm still waiting to hear back. Now, 18-year-old Aubrey Phillips died, and her family says that she was in a car full of people, including her 4-month-old daughter, Niall. Now, Niall was in her car seat and survived the crash. The 4-month-old baby is okay, but now she has to grow up without her mother. Florence Scott, Aubrey's mother, says Aubrey was so happy and proud to be a new mother. She says Aubrey was in Lithia Springs visiting family for Memorial Day weekend. She can't believe that her daughter is gone. Let's take a listen.
Aubrey was the light. She was our sunshine. She was always laughing, always playing. She always brought your spirit up. And, you know, she's just all around a good girl, you know, and she was proud to be a mom. She was happy. She changed her whole life around for her baby. And I'm just glad she got to spend some time with her baby.
And again, this crash is still under investigation by Georgia State Patrol. We know that it at least involved a car and a truck, and we're waiting to hear back from them for that report. Jasmine?
Wow, Tara, such a sad story here. She, you know, left behind her 4-month-old baby. And I'm sorry if I missed this in your report. Was she the only one who died in this car crash?
Yes, she was the only one who died. Her family told me that she was in the back seat with her baby, and her baby was in a car seat.
Wow. Tara, thanks so much for joining us and sharing this victim's story here. Tara, thanks. And our time right now is 2:39. When we return, we'll talk about finances. So some teens are competing in a financial challenge. Our Chris Rosenthal is covering that, and we'll see what that's all about. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Let's talk some finances, some national stories here. At least 3.5 million Americans have lost their food stamps. This is according to a report, and this is due to President Trump's, quote, big, beautiful bill. That's according, again, to an analysis by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. It's a nonpartisan research group and Policy Institute. The legislation included more strict rules to qualify for federal SNAP benefits, which, of course, as you know, provides food to low-income people. The new rules here include work requirements. And so the Federal Reserve Bank of New York says there's been a big increase in food insecurity at a time when prices continue to go up, that is. But again, the big part of the story is that millions of people have lost access to food stamps due to the big, beautiful bill. And let's talk student loans now. So financial planners say people carrying federal student loans who plan to take on more debt or consolidate existing debt after July 1st need to be aware of some changes coming. So those borrowers will be facing fewer repayment and debt forgiveness options. And the updates are the result of the president's One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was passed last year. Financial advisors are cautioning students to be very careful here. They say, again, after July 1st, they'll go from being a legacy borrower to a new borrower, and that brings with it a whole new set of rules. So something to keep in mind if you're a student or if you have student loans. And staying on the topic of finances, the nation's top high school money mines are in Atlanta today. Students from 33 states are competing at the Federal Reserve Bank and the National Personal Finance Challenge. They're testing their knowledge here of everything from investing to budgeting. I mean, this sounds like an incredible event. Our Eli Jordan is live in Midtown Atlanta with all the details. Eli, thanks so much for joining us. I feel like we all need to take some type of challenge like this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm learning something. These kids are probably well beyond my knowledge when it comes to finance. And that's why it's very important, because I'm 52. I've lived most of my life quite financially illiterate. Never did have that training in high school. These kids, they're getting it. They're getting to be literate here at the Federal Reserve in Atlanta. And so we're outside the courtyard because they got a lot of marble here and a lot of other things that keep the signal from penetrating through here where they print all of our currency. But I am here with one of the sponsors of the National Personal Financial Challenge, is what they're doing here, presented by the Council of Economic Education. And Braden Marish of Voya is here. Voya Financial Institution. You come all the way from New York to be part of this, correct?
We did, yeah.
And so tell me, why is it important, for financial institutions like yourself and Voya to be a part of this, be sponsored?
Yeah. So at Voya, we're one of America's leading providers of retirement products and services, asset management, wealth management, and employee benefits. And if there's one thing we know about our customers, it's that they're everywhere. We serve the financial needs of artists. We serve the financial needs of teachers, of business people, doctors, engineers. And the great thing about financial literacy is that it touches all of those different professions. So you have kids in the room today who don't just want to be business people. They want to explore their career trajectories. They're only teenagers right now. So teaching them before they enter financial independence and figure out what they want to be when they grow up is so so and that's why we're bringing our employees from all over the country here today.
The younger you start, the less you have to work later in life.
Exactly. If they go off to college or whatever happens when they turn 18, they finish high school, they're going to be faced with those decisions like, do you want to open this credit card right now? And those decisions, if you navigate them right or incorrectly, they can last a lifetime. So we want to get with them before they have to make those decisions, make sure that they're off on the right footing.
What's it like to be in a room with these kids who seem to be eager to learn about something that is otherwise, considered boring?
It makes you feel a little bit inadequate, to be honest. As a grown adult who has less financial literacy skills than a lot of these kids, I've learned some stuff from my own financial planning being here over the years. And I think that they're so fortunate that now so many more kids across America have the opportunity to learn this when they're a child, instead of like me, where I was faced with my first finance course in graduate school when I already had the student debt. So before they have to make those decisions, they're getting opportunities like this, and it feels really good.
And, got some that are prepared to come back again. They didn't, didn't necessarily make it to the next round, but they're eager to come back next year and add on to the skills that they have learned. Are you going to be back here next year? What do you think about Atlanta?
Of course. We are back here every year. We've been coming since 2018. We have seen repeat contenders. We've seen them improve over time. It's really great to see not just how much the students invest in this program year after year, but the teachers who bring them out here, how happy and excited and proud they are to see their students and see sort of the fruits of their labor because the teachers embrace financial literacy so much and bring it to those kids.
So I have to ask this, of kids from all over the country, are there any corporate recruits out there kind of eyeballing to see if there's any whiz kids out there?
I wouldn't just say the corporate recruiters looking for those kids. I would say the kids themselves. I think that's the most common question that we get as a financial services company. It's not, teach me about how to manage my money. It's, do you have internships open this summer? We get that question all the time, and we have actually not just recruited some of them, but given them scholarships every year too to pursue their higher education.
Lots of industries are changing as of late. Television news industry is changing, tenfold. Seems like, week after week. Is the financial industry, is it changing with the advent of AI and things like that?
It's changing to the advantage of these kids. We call these kids AI natives. They are graduating high school fluent in AI versus you have me at the ripe old age of 38. I'm only just learning it. They're already applying it. So they're going to enter the workforce with this super, super critical skill. So if anything, being here, meeting these kids, meeting our future employees is really advantageous to us as an employer too, because we need the technological skills they bring to the workforce on day one.
Awesome. Braden Marish of Voya, thank you very much. Out here at the Atlanta Federal Reserve, where they make the money, and they're also making some brains smarter out here with this event of the financial, actually it's called the Personal Financial Challenge. It's been going on all day today with over 150 kids from all over the country, high school kids coming here participating, and they're just now getting down to the last little bit to see who comes out on top to win a few $1,000s and go away with a good education about money. They win a couple $1,000s, just hang your hat on, but really what they're going to take away is a lot of education, and that couple $1,000 is not going to, it's going to be chump change for the kids when they get older and apply the knowledge that they're using out here. Jasmine, back to you.
All right, Eli, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. A pretty cool event here, and I think, like I said, everyone can benefit from learning at events like this. So glad to see that students are participating. Eli, thanks. Well, some good news for travelers here in the Atlanta area. People driving to Hartsville-Jackson now have a new parking option as the airport officially opened its long-awaited south parking deck. Now, this project, which began in September of 2023, was completed this week and is expected to ease some parking challenges that have frustrated travelers in recent years. Airport officials say the deck is already welcoming vehicles and will provide additional capacity as summer travel ramps up, and Atlanta prepares to host visitors for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Let's take a listen to what airport officials had to say about this.
And perhaps one of the most important features of this deck is its close proximity to our domestic terminal. Convenience matters. Time matters. Travelers want a seamless transition from parking to checking in, and this deck helps deliver on that.
And a little more of what we know here about this parking deck. The 7-level parking deck sits across from the South Domestic Terminal and spans approximately 3 million square feet. The facility also includes additional spaces in the South Economy lot, significantly increasing parking capacity here at the world's busiest airport. And airport officials also say the new deck was designed with convenience in mind. So it offers travelers a shorter walk to the terminal and a smoother transition from the parking to check-in. And also a new pedestrian bridge connects the deck directly to the terminal. So this new facility includes several technology upgrades designed to help drivers find spaces more efficiently and improve safety throughout the deck. Drivers can also use Peach Pass technology for a ticketless parking experience. The system will read your license plate when your car enters and exits the deck, allowing for participating customers, those who have the Peach Pass, to have parking charges billed automatically. Airport officials do encourage you to check parking availability online before you arrive. The airport's parking website provides real-time information about which lots are open and available. All right, some good news there. And you may want to top off your tanks before tomorrow night. The state's temporary suspension of motor fuel taxes is scheduled to expire June 2nd, tomorrow, and it remains unclear whether Governor Brian Kemp will extend the tax break again. The governor signed an executive order last month extending the suspension through 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, citing the continued impact of fuel prices on Georgia families and businesses. The suspension saves drivers about 33 cents per gallon by temporarily eliminating the motor fuel tax. And as of this morning, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in the state of Georgia was $3.83. That's according to AAA. So those prices remain about 94 cents higher than they were a year ago. Here in the metro Atlanta area, the average price stood at about $3.89 when I checked this morning per gallon. AAA also notes that rising fuel costs often cause drivers to wait longer between fill-ups. They say that strategy can increase the risk of fuel pump damage, potentially leading to costly repairs. Instead, they're recommending refilling when a vehicle reaches about 1/4 of a tank. But for now, drivers looking to maximize their savings, you may want to fill up before the current gas tax suspension expires tomorrow night. Time is 2:53. When we return, we'll have some lighter news, some fun headlines ahead. Welcome back. Let's talk about this cool story out of Cali. So more than 1,000 people dressed as a famous blonde bombshell for a record-breaking event in California over the weekend. A Palm Springs, California event drew hundreds of Marilyn Monroe fans worldwide, with most of them participating in a Marilyn look-alike contest. And that's them on your screen there. But it wasn't all for cosplay, as attendees were also there to attempt to break a record, and they smashed it. So 1,037 of the participants shattered the old record of 254 lookalikes in one location. Even with Marilyn gone for 64 years, fans say she's still an eternal cultural icon worth remembering. Let's take a listen.
So When I heard that there was going to be this many of them here in Palm Springs, I had to come here. I know that she was big on Palm Springs, so that means I'm big on Palm Springs too.
This is way bigger than I ever imagined. I think we heard over 1,000 tickets were sold, so it's so special that everybody came out to just idolize our queen.
She just means love and sexiness, and I think that every one of us has that inside of us. We just got to find it.
She's an icon. She means something to everybody, really.
I feel like she never left us. She's here with us in spirit. It's like she never died.
The record-setting event was all part of a Palm Springs celebration to remember Marilyn Monroe on her 100th birthday, which is today. Monroe died at the age of 36 in 1962. And Gen Zers could be the ticket to reviving the movie industry. How about that? I can't even tell you the last time I've been to the movies. According to data from Fandago, Generation Z, Gen Z is not only going to the movies, it's driving box office growth here. So data showed last year that Gen Zers saw an average of 7 movies in theaters compared to Gen X and baby boomers who averaged about 6 films. The 14 to 29-year-olds are said to enjoy affordable social experiences and are driving demand for anime and video game movies at the box office. How about that? So Gen Zers making their way to the movie theater. And again, you know, I haven't been in a little minute, so maybe I should start back going. Time right now is 2:58. Our news continues with Tom Haynes at 3 p.m.
with the really humid stuff. And that's going to put an end to this streak of rainy days we've had. There's May's rainfall officially about an inch above average, which is the first month this year that we've been above average in terms of the rainfall. So an 80% chance of storms for the remainder of the day today. And then into the rest of the week, Tom, looking for drier air, warm, even some cool mornings, right? Look at Wednesday and Thursday, overnight lows in the 50s. And then that's going to give way to 85 and partly cloudy for Saturday, 86 and mostly cloudy for Sunday.
Alex, I know you talked about it, but the greatest chance for showers are sort of in the north. And at what time do you expect them to start kicking up and becoming active out there?
So I really, in the next couple of hours, I can flip this back over to Fox 5 Live Viper, and what you're going to see is those showers and storms already pushing down to the south. So if I put a big loop on this, I don't know if there's any way to make me just magically appear on the screen. That would be kind of cool. But we're tracking that over the next 2 hours into Metro Atlanta. It looks like it's that leading edge you see just north of Rome coming down I-75. That's kind of in line with those storms back into Alabama. And then on the flip side of that, Tom, we will be looking at just some residual showers into the evening tonight.
All right, Alex, we'll be out there watching. We know you'll keep us updated, both here on Fox Local and, of course, on Fox 5 Atlanta. Alex Forbes tracking these storms that are rolling in for us here. Alex, thanks. I want to talk about what day it is today, and that is June 1st. What does that mean? Well, it means the start of hurricane season. And so folks at the National Weather Service in Miami are busy tracking and predicting what this season might look like. Emergency officials wasting no time, really getting the word out to the public to be aware and pay attention. The National Hurricane Center, along with leadership from FEMA and NOAA, urgently calling on families to start making their preparations right now. Get your supplies ready in the house. Have plans if you lose power for a couple of days. And here in North Georgia, that can be for any reason, such as the remnants of a hurricane or tropical storm, or just severe weather that might roll through. The forecast for this year, according to officials, for an active season with meteorologists expecting 1 to 3 major hurricanes to develop. Experts warn that it only takes one storm to make landfall to completely devastate a community. Here's what the National Hurricane Center has to say about what we can expect and how you can proactively protect your home and loved ones before the first storm hits.
NOAA's forecast is for 8 to 14 named storms in the Atlantic, several hurricanes, 1 to 3 major hurricanes. We're expecting very busy years in the eastern and central Pacific basins. So the main message is now prepare. This is the time to get ready. And it does not take a major hurricane making landfall directly in your community for there to be hazardous conditions there. Know how you're going to evacuate, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, how you're going to prepare you and your family to survive potentially several days on your own within your community.
FEMA's ready. We have over 20,000 personnel ready for this hurricane season. We have 18 of our national and regional incident management teams are able to deploy to disasters. And over the last year and a half, since January 2025, we've trained over 1 million state, local, tribal, territorial emergency managers, local leaders, and others through courses that we provide through FEMA. The time to prepare is now. And that time has to happen before a storm is on the way. So make sure that you have a plan. Make sure that you build a kit. Stay informed. Sign up for alerts. Pay attention to trusted sources.
They're talking about the start of hurricane season. The officials are also urging the public to make sure that their home is lined up before any major storms brew. The Atlanta hurricane season ends on November the 30th. To help you prepare for hurricane season before the risk of severe weather hits, we have prepared a special for tonight, which is going to air at 7 o'clock, both on Fox 5 and right here on Fox Local, in a hurricane special that our storm team put together. You can watch it again. Be informed before this hurricane season begins. Again, at 7 o'clock, right here on Fox Local. Well, Noonan police need your help in a cold case homicide. Investigators are renewing the appeal for information in the 2015 death of 18-year-old Alzuvian Martin. Fox host Doug Evans here with what investigators are asking. Doug?
Hey there, Tom. You know, Martin was 18 years old at the time. Really tragic that such a teenager would wind up dead in a ditch, shot to death over on Calhoun Street here in Noonan. Even sadder is that this case has turned cold, and they're reopening it now, trying to find the killer. And it is a case that we covered back in the day here on Fox 5 out there. Community members were very concerned at the time. I'm sure they're still concerned about what happened there. His body found in a ditch, a creek that runs through Calhoun Drive right there. And so I did talk with investigators, Tom, and here's what they had to say today.
Years ago, this December.
Correct.
Right. Is there anything that stands out that the public should know about that can help you guys solve this case?
Well, honestly, like I said, that he was found in a creek bed, I believe December 10th of 2015. He was shot. I just think that if the public has any information and they know anything about this case, if they would reach out to me or the Noonan Police Department, and again, anonymously, they can go through Crime Stoppers if they have any tips that they would like to give us.
Pretty clear that somebody knows something about what's going on. A lot of time has passed, but
Right.
these people might still be out there.
Yes, we believe these individuals are still out there, and if anybody has any information, we would appreciate to find closure for the family, the Martin family.
All right, so police pretty convinced that there are still people out in the community who knows what happened 10 years later to Alswavian Martin, 18 years old, shot to death, body found in a ditch on Calhoun Street here in Noonan, Tom.
You know, we talk about it here a lot, and the use of technology to sort of crack open these cold cases, not only information from the public, which certainly helps investigators do their work, but DNA and all kinds of things enter into the equation. Do they have access to that kind of evidence to work to get some answers here?
Tom, it sounds like they're working with very little in the case. They certainly did not go over the evidence with me, but you kind of read between the lines here. They've got a body that had been there for several days. There had been a homicide a few days before this, and people had all then, back in the day in 2015, were very concerned that maybe this was connected to that, and it was never really established that it was. There were suspects, people that they looked at, and those names have come and gone out of the investigation. So they're really starting afresh here, Tom, looking for what happened. It's very, very interesting. Also, I've been kind of walking down memory lane as we pulled the archive video of this story. Our friend Tom Portia Bruner was the reporter who covered the story back in the day, and I had to think for a minute, where in the heck was I in December 2015? I was off running a little company project called our drone project that had just started up back that year in December of 2015. So I was not here in Noonan at that time, and was kind of curious why I didn't cover it, but it was Portia who covered it. Talked to some people out in the community. They were very, very concerned about it at the time, concerned that it might be connected to this other homicide that had happened in Noonan. Not a lot of homicides in Noonan, by the way, and so this was the second one that year. It's December already in 2015, and so there was a great deal of concern about it. And I think that they would just, you know, they've had some success lately in getting these cold case homicides solved. So here's another case where they're going to open it up and see what happens.
Yeah, the fact that there aren't that many homicides, to your point, Doug, may be helpful in a case like this. And here we are, more than 10 years later, in this investigation. Obviously, something's rumbling around here among police investigators, or else they wouldn't have sort of renewed this big push for any kind of information. I know that the family would certainly be happy if something came to light.
Yeah, Tom, I think they do believe that there are people in the community who know something, and maybe the dynamics have changed. The dynamics that kept them from coming forward in 2015 and talking to police, maybe those dynamics have changed. Maybe people that they were afraid of have died. Maybe the people that they were afraid of have been convicted of other crimes and are now in prison. Maybe the people that were kind of, overseeing the silence in the community aren't here anymore to inflict that kind of threat on people.
Interesting to see what investigators come up with, and again, nobody wants answers more than that victim's family, so we certainly hope for that. Doug Evans for us, live down in Noonan. Doug, thanks. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, a deadly crash brought traffic to a standstill on Interstate 85 in Jackson County during the morning commute this morning. According to the Georgia State Patrol, the crash happened just before 246 on I-85 southbound, right near Highway 129. Investigators say that a Ford van and a Kenworth tractor trailer collided on the interstate, and this was what was left behind. The driver of the van was pronounced dead at the scene. The identity of that driver has not yet been released. The crash forcing the shutdown of all southbound lanes for hours as troopers and emergency crews worked the scene. Skyfox traffic showed massive backup stretching as far as 11 miles at one point, with drivers urged to avoid the area and use Highway 124 as an alternate route. Shortly before 7, traffic began moving again. The Georgia State Patrol's specialized collision reconstruction team is now investigating exactly what might have caused this crash. Again, one person dead following this overnight crash on I-85 southbound in Jackson County, and investigators say the cause still remains under investigation. On to other headlines, and investigators have now identified both the victims and the suspect in a deadly weekend stabbing aboard a MARTA train. This was a grisly scene. Police say 25-year-old John Elijah Matthews fatally stabbed 66-year-old Margaret Swan on Saturday at the Oakland City Station just before noon. Matthews was arrested by officers immediately near the scene after witnesses pointed him out, and he is now charged with murder. He was scheduled to appear in court today, but waived that appearance. Detectives are still trying to piece together what led up to this attack and whether the two knew each other. MARTA is calling this a senseless act of violence, but commuters are expressing deep concerns over security as this marks the second stabbing on the transit system in just 2 weeks. Well, the June runoff is rapidly approaching, and there is news in the governor's race. Our Deidre Dukes is out and about, as she always is, collecting information from all of these candidates. Last week, you heard a lot from the lieutenant governor candidates on both the Democrat and the Republican side. Today, Deidre caught up with candidate Rick Jackson, the Republican, the self-proclaimed, self-made billionaire, Deidre, running for governor. What did he have to say?
Well, he was joined by hundreds of supporters in Kennesaw today, Tom, and we do want to say that it seems, as you said, that this has been really a hotly contested race from the moment we first had Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones announce that he was running for governor, and then the surprise entry into the race of businessman Rick Jackson. And then, of course, those two going at each other head to head during the primary, those two being the top vote getters during the primary, but neither one being able to pull it off without a runoff. So those two men, again, going head to head in a runoff. And the advanced voting for the runoff does start on Saturday. Now, the big news today was there was a debate at GPB headquarters in Midtown Atlanta. These debates are hosted by the Atlanta Press Club. And the debate was scheduled, and both candidates were invited to appear, both Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. And of course, it's been big news in recent weeks following the primary, with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones challenging Rick Jackson to a debate, wanting this debate to occur before early voting started. Well, We did see Burt Jones show up for the debate this afternoon at GPB, but Rick Jackson did not. Rick Jackson declined today's debate because he said there was a scheduling conflict, and that scheduling conflict was the campaign event that we covered today in Kennesaw, where, as I said, hundreds of his supporters turned out, and he helped rally the troops for about 15, 30 minutes or so, giving a speech there to them. He did again present himself as a political outsider, saying that he would go to the Capitol, to Atlanta, if elected, to work for Georgians to, as he said, help those who needed help as far as taxes go, and just the challenges that Georgians have been facing with the economy, saying that he would ensure that Georgians would get to a place where they were flourishing and thriving. And here's what he had to say as pertains to that this afternoon.
This race is between an outsider and an insider. Burt Jones is the insider's pick. He has been in office for 14 years. He's had the title, he's had the office, he's had the power, and still failed to deliver property tax relief for Georgia this year.
Now, again, as I said, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones did make an appearance, participate in today's debate held by the Atlanta Press Club, hosted by them at Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios. And he fielded a question from panelists there and the moderator as he works to secure his party's nomination. Let's hear from him.
It's because of good leadership that we've had here in the state of Georgia. Leaders like Governor Kemp, which I've had a great working relationship with. The reason why I'm endorsed by President Trump and endorsed by so many sheriffs around the state, as well as so many business leaders, is because they know who I am. They know my character, and they know that when I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to deliver on it. And just like when I told you I was going to show up for this debate, I showed up and took the questions, both friendly questions, all friendly questions, but some were a little tougher than others. But I took the questions either way, and I think that's what you want in your elected officials. Folks will show up, take on the tough questions, and show that they represent the people of Georgia no matter what.
All
Thank
right,
y'all very much.
Thank you very much. Early voting begins on Monday, June 8th. And it runs through Friday, June 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, June 16th. We want to thank Burt Jones and our panel of journalists for being here today. We also would like to thank the Atlanta Press Club and Georgia Public Broadcasting for arranging today's debate. I'm Jeff Hullinger. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Louder Milk Young Debate Series.
And as you see, they close it out there. Jeff Hullinger wrapping it up in the sense of reminding everyone when we do start with early voting here in Georgia, that, of course, starting on Saturday. As you can see, both candidates campaigning down to the wire, not only to get their candidates, the candidates really working to get their folks really heading to the polls, that keep their base really energized, but also working to try to secure those votes, those voters who didn't vote for them last go round. They'll need those votes, and so they're working to get some excitement built up there as well, really trying to drive everybody to the polls to make sure there's a strong showing for this runoff, Tom.
Deidre, I'm going to ask you to take your reporter hat off, put your analyst hat on. And
I don't know if I can do that. Oh,
sure
okay,
you can.
Analyst hat.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah. You're a great analyst, which is why I'm asking you about this debate. And I know Rick Jackson's folks said that it was a scheduling conflict, but debates here, especially in the run-up to a runoff, are important to sort of allow the candidates to get to know you better and your ability to be spontaneous and talk about the issues. So is there a plan for another debate? Does this, harm Jackson sort of moving forward? Could they not see eye to eye on when this debate should happen this morning?
Well, that's a great question, Tom. So when I talked to some of the folks from Jackson's camp, they said, look, we offered alternate dates. We had this scheduled. We weren't able to, due to those who were making appearances alongside Rick Jackson, we weren't able to reschedule this. This is when we had to hold this campaign event for, all of the parts to fall into place. You listen to Jones' camp. they're saying we wanted a debate before early voting started because, frankly, they believe that their candidate performed very well during that first debate that was held at Georgia Public Broadcasting. They feel that Jones had a very strong performance. They wanted to have this first debate before the runoff election, before early voting, because they believe that it could possibly make a difference depending on the showing of their opponent, right? How he appeared during the debate. So they wanted to have the opportunity to do so again. Does it make a difference? You'll hear political analysts say that debates ultimately don't make a difference, that typically, perhaps maybe not so much when you're dealing with, national elections, say the presidential debates, things of that nature. But you do have the argument made by some political analysts that when it comes to debates, a lot of times it really does not determine in large part the outcome of how people will vote. Say, you'll have Jackson and Jones debating each other, but it's really not going to drive perhaps enough people to either that one debate to either change their mind about who they're going to vote for or decide who they're going to vote for if they're undecided. So there is that sense among a lot of campaigns that these debates are important, but really ultimately how much weight do they hold? Jackson's folks could argue today that Jackson appearing before hundreds of people in Kennesaw, that he, that will have a greater impact for him as he tries to win this race compared to, say, appearing for the debate this afternoon.
It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out and whether Jackson loses any mileage, if any, for not appearing at the debate with Burt Jones. Might have been a good opportunity for him to further introduce himself to voters, as Burt Jones is sort of a more well-known quantity in Georgia politics. He's been serving for quite a long time. Rick Jackson obviously has his own heft and brings his own voice to this race. So we'll have to see how it's going to be a very, very interesting one to follow between these two. Both have a lot of gravitas, a lot of heft, and have a lot of wind in their sails. So we'll have to see. Deidre Dukes. Deidre, thanks so much. When we come back, we're going to shift gears and focus on the situation with the price of oil, how much you're paying at the gas pump. That's been all over the place. Price per barrel of oil all being impacted by the situation in Iran, and new attacks between the U.S. and Iran getting in the way of this peace process, or lack thereof, that we've been hearing so much about when we continue. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, going through a lot of news today on this Monday afternoon. We talked about the weather, the chance for storms later on this afternoon in many parts of the state, talked Georgia politics, and the search for a suspect in a cold case murder investigation in Noonan with Doug Evans. So we're covering a lot of ground here as we move forward here in the 3 o'clock hour, and right now is no exception because we're going to shift focus and talk about the situation in Iran and the efforts to negotiate a peace deal. There have been new attacks between the U.S. and Iran over the weekend, threatening negotiations to end the war. At the White House, President Trump is calling for patience despite growing pressure here at home. U.S. Central Command carried out what were called self-defense strikes against Iran after the shoot-down of a U.S. drone. Fox News reports that you could hear air raid sirens over in Kuwait as that country had to fend off drone and missile attacks. And after Iran took out a U.S. Reaper drone, U.S. forces struck a number of military targets in that country. President Trump maintains a deal is close, as the New York Times reports that he made revisions in the latest proposal to end the conflict. Overnight, the president posted on Truth Social, quote, "Just sit back and relax. It'll all work out well in the end. It always does." But after new economic data showed inflation on the rise, largely because of energy costs, White House Economic Director Kevin Hassett says many families are still ahead. Democrats have cited rising costs ahead of the midterms and have questioned whether the president can achieve his goals of reopening the Strait of Hormuz and ending Iran's nuclear ambitions. Speaking of the price of oil, a new report suggests the cost of routine oil changes for cars could increase substantially due to the Iran conflict. Getting an oil change done for your car could rise as much as 40% soon, we understand. A new report from Automotive News says that automakers are scrambling for synthetic motor oil as critical supplies from the Middle East dwindle, with dealerships and distributors stockpiling the crucial product. According to the report, some suppliers are concerned the U.S. could run out of key Group 3 base oils by June. One Alabama repair shop says that a 55-gallon drum of full synthetic oil, which normally costs between $300 and $400, has surged to $1,000 in just the past few weeks. The repair shop estimates that routine synthetic oil changes that previously cost about $65 could soon jump to as much as $85 or even $90. The Independent Lubricant Manufacturers Association warns that the shortage could last until at least mid-2027. Potentially threatening new vehicle production across the industry. Well, you may want to fill up your tank before you head home tomorrow night. Georgia's temporary gas tax suspension is set to expire at midnight Tuesday, and it's still unclear if Governor Brian Kemp will extend the break yet again. The tax holiday has been saving drivers about 30 cents a gallon, but a pump price increase could be just around the corner. AAA reports the average for a gallon of regular gasoline in Georgia currently stands at about $3.83, which is nearly $1 higher than this time last year. Metro Atlanta drivers are paying even more, averaging about $3.89 a gallon. Experts warn that if you are trying to stretch that fuel, don't let your tank run completely dry, as running on fumes can cause costly damage to your vehicle's fuel pumps. Shifting gears now and talking about the Fulton County election case, and a federal judge who has unsealed documents revealing the U.S. Department of Justice subpoenaed the names, home addresses, and phone numbers of every single Fulton County election worker from that year. That's according to Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts, who has been very outspoken about the FBI raid when it happened here. Pitts blasted the move as pure intimidation. The Justice Department, of course, would disagree. In a statement released on Sunday, he said, quote, "Fulton County is fighting and will always fight to protect the rights of our election officials, workers, and voters." Remember, Chairman Pitts is in the fight for re-election and is headed to a runoff, so he is particularly vocal at this time. The county has been at the center of an ongoing legal battle related to the election. President Donald Trump has claimed that he won the state and that election interference happened, but state and local leaders, of course, will deny that. The raid and ongoing legal dispute have drawn sharp reactions from Fulton County elected leaders. For now, the judge has temporarily paused the data request while the court reviews the county's motion to block it permanently. Still a lot more ahead as we continue here on the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. West Atlanta residents demanding the city immediately halt its $5.5 billion neighborhood reinvestment plan, something the governor has been extremely vociferous about in trying to get that passed. We're going to check in with our Kevin Stewart, who's live on that issue when we come back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Glad you're here this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes with you live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Appreciate you streaming on our mobile platform at Fox Local, or if you're streaming with us on one of our social media platforms at Fox 5 Atlanta. Glad you're here, and we always enjoy reading your comments about all the stories that we're talking about today, or on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM. Glad you're listening to us today. The Dickens administration pushing hard for an expansion of 6 tax allocation districts to fuel what they're considering a multi-billion-dollar neighborhood reinvestment plan, but the plan is still getting pushback from some grassroots community leaders. Let's get out to our Kevin Stewart, who's investigating this story for us this afternoon. Kevin, why the pushback?
It comes down to trust, really. I mean, we're on the near west side, the English Avenue area. This is Echo Street, and you see all this development here. Anyone who's been in Atlanta for any amount of time knows that this was an area that had been underserved, and you see all this development here. There are people in the community, the grassroots folks that we spoke to today who had a news conference at City Hall, say this type of development needs to be all over the west side, and they don't trust that you're going to see this. They think that this neighborhood reinvestment plan is just about development, just about developers putting money in their pockets as opposed to people in the community. So it really goes towards the whole idea of gentrification instead of revitalization. The mayor's been pushing really hard for this program, and he's actually tweaked it at least once, trying to get the buy-in from community. You remember his impassioned plea in front of a committee last week, a city council committee, saying that he wants grocery stores. He wants developments, clinics in areas throughout the city, in particular the underserved communities, and that his program, extending those tax allocation districts, will fuel his effort to do that. But people we talk to today say we don't buy that. I mean, where's the proof that it has worked before? So here's what they have to say.
Of the Neighborhood Reinvestment Initiative in the planning. We want to see specific metrics. We want to ensure that this plan is specifically for the needs of the community. Right now, it's ambiguous. They have not allowed us to see the audit of the past TAD funds. The reason we want to see the audit is because the audit will tell us what mistakes were made in the past. Then we can correct those mistakes and take a prescriptive measures to correct the mistakes that has kept the west side in its condition. All of us can look at the west side and see that we're an afterthought.
All right, now something else to keep in mind, the way this program works is it freezes the property tax growth, the growth that you see in neighborhoods like this. Obviously, property values go up, taxes go up. It freezes that, and that difference there, that's poured back into the community. That is money that also should be going to schools, and they say that money should be going to schools to fund schools throughout the city. They cited problems about these recent school closures across the city, including here on the northwest part of town. So definitely a very complex, very sensitive, important issue that people are just really upset about. Those activists said they are actually going to be speaking to the city council today during the city council meeting on the public agenda today, the public speaking agenda. But a full vote on this is several weeks away. There was the mayor's initiative did not get out of the committee last week, so it has to go before the committee before it gets to the full council.
You know, it's one of those issues, Kevin, that you outline so comprehensively here to really understand the nuts and bolts of how this proposal is going to work and impact some of these communities. But we heard from the mayor, as you mentioned, in that impassioned appearance before council, getting really amped and emotional about these food deserts and how these millions and millions of dollars have the potential to impact these communities. To a viewer and a lay person, it sounded great and kind of like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, of course, let's get that money to where it needs to be. But when you dig down into a little bit deeper into these issues and you hear the community feedback, other layers begin to be exposed, and we start to understand a little bit more about what this community reinvestment project actually means.
Yeah, it's really, I guess you could say it's kind of a show and prove sort of thing. This is not new in terms of having a tax allocation district, and they're saying, hey, well, we're not seeing this, and that's why they're asking for an audit and to review that audit. And like, well, how does this really work? And that's something that when you, like I said at the top, it goes towards trust.
It's something that's going to be really interesting to watch over the next days and weeks, how this moves through and what the mayor's reaction to all of this is and his response to this.
Yeah, we actually tried to get a hold of the mayor's office today, but so far we haven't heard back. We did reach out to them about, hey, are you familiar with this news conference? And they said, why would we comment before it's completed, which certainly makes sense. And we did respond once that news conference was over, and we're waiting to hear back from them. We'll see.
I bet you it won't be long before they reach out to you to give you their response. Kevin, thanks so much. I want to talk about the major improvements happening at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Wouldn't you know, right in time for FIFA World Cup, and that is the massive parking deck that was built there. Seems like yesterday they were just breaking ground on this thing and closed the parking lot adjacent to the airport in order to build it. Well, it's up. That was fast, right? Some much needed good news for travelers at Hartsfield-Jackson. More parking. The airport officially now has opened the brand new deck, 7 levels of south parking just in time for the busy summer travel season. And as I mentioned, FIFA World Cup. You can see people driving up there already The 3 million square foot facility sits right across from the South Domestic Terminal. That is pretty much Delta Airlines. I think American occupies a space way at the end of that terminal, bringing thousands of new spaces to the world's busiest airport. So let's take a listen to airport officials on the day that this thing has opened.
Is its close proximity to our domestic terminal. Convenience matters. Time matters. Travelers want a seamless transition from parking to checking in, and this deck helps deliver on that.
So the new deck was designed with convenience in mind, or at least that's what the airport says, featuring a new pedestrian bridge that connects drivers directly to the terminal for a much shorter walk. Gosh, that sounds great, right? It also features high-tech upgrades to help you find open spots faster, plus integrated Peach Pass technology for a completely ticketless entry and exit experience. If you have a flight coming up, airport officials strongly encourage to check real-time parking availability on their website before you head to the door. Hopefully, the price to park overnight at the airport will be something down in the future, which will come down. I think it's around $30 a night if you head to ATL West anyway, which is the other parking deck nearby the airport. Want to talk about some new MARTA trains which are being launched. You've seen a few of them out there already. Well, more are set to hit the tracks soon. This is a first symbolic ride for this train aboard a broader launch of what MARTA is calling the most technically advanced trains in the United States. These are set to get on the tracks later this week. The ceremony for local officials and the media will reportedly be held Thursday morning, just a couple of days away now, which comes right ahead of the FIFA World Cup. All right, these are going to be on the tracks for the games. So riders will enjoy rides on brand spanking new trains. One train expected to make a round trip between the Avondale and Georgia State stations, which copies the same route MARTA's first train ride took back in 1919. I didn't know MARTA had been around that long. Several new trains will be officially launched into service for the public later that day, and Fox 5, of course, will be I'm being corrected by our executive producer, Cal Calloway. 1979? All right, I was 8 years old. So how do you like that? 1919. I mean, the New York City subway system has been around that long, if not longer, so kind of made sense, but I guess not. 1979, when our MARTA trains hit the tracks. These brand new trains, just in time, as I said, for FIFA World Cup. The nation's most financially savvy teens are in Atlanta today competing for the National Personal Finance Challenge, and our Eli Jordan was there.
Hey, that's right. I am at the Atlanta Federal Reserve, where they make money. I'm in the hallways, but right now over 150 kids from all over the country are here partaking in the Personal Financial Challenge presented by the Council for Economic Education. And I spoke with the CEO of the CEE, the Council for Economic Education, Steve Bumbaugh, and this is what he had to say about today's event. So Steve, tell me, what's going on here today, and why is it important for these kids to be a part of a competition like this?
So these students are from all over the United States. They represent 35 states. They have been engaged in state-level personal finance competitions, and it's fun. It's like an athletic competition, but also they're gaining knowledge that is going to keep them financially secure throughout their entire lives.
And that's something that's missing in a lot of curriculums around a lot of high schools or even all schools in America today. There's a lot of grievances about no financial literacy. Do you agree with that?
So we're trying to, yes, we agree that there's not enough financial literacy coursework in American K-12 schools. We are working. We have a Council for Economic Education. We try to get states to make financial literacy a high school graduation requirement. In the last 3 years, we have increased the number of states requiring these courses to graduate from 22 to 39. So we're on our way.
That's good. That's good. And also, too, what do teams win here? Right? What is their goal? What are they going after, I guess?
Well, really, it's mostly prestige. These are nerdy kids who get to now participate in something that's almost like the NCAA basketball tournament. But the winners do get $2,000 each. Second place gets $1,000 per student, and third place $500, and fourth place $250. So there's money, but that's not actually what's motivating the students.
Eventually, that'll be a chump change, I guess, when they get older and apply what they've learned, here and throughout their schooling for their financial life.
Well, hopefully the winners invest their winnings and they compound that interest. That's what they're talking about today. That's what they're learning.
Awesome. What's it like to be a part of this and helping out our future?
I love this kind of work. You hear so many stories that are negative about high school students, about teenagers. Most of them aren't true. These are the smartest kids in the world. They are polite. They are confident. They're incredibly brilliant. I just love showing off the sort of brilliance we have in our young people in this country.
That was Council for Economic Education CEO Steve Bumbaugh. And right now, the Final Four from high schools from New York, North Carolina, Maryland, and Delaware, they're slugging it out in there to see who finally wins this economic challenge. Back to you guys.
Wow, how cool, Eli. And to be at the Federal Reserve Bank here in Atlanta, what an inspirational place to have this competition happen. When we come back, skin cancer screening, such an important issue as we head into summer. We're going to talk about a mobile clinic so you can be screened when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. I want to talk about a mobile clinic that's offering free full-body skin cancer screenings on a first-come, first-served basis in Marietta. Chris Rosenthal is out with this clinic and is here now with more on where it's going and what they do inside there. Chris?
Yeah, hey Tom, they've been here all day and have seen about 36 patients today. Pretty successful so far. We'll talk with the doctor here shortly. The Skin Cancer Foundation estimates that about 3,700 people across Georgia are going to be diagnosed with melanoma in 2026. So that's why it's so important to get checked, and that's why they brought their mobile RV van here to Windy Hill Road today. They're here just closing it down here till 4, but doing free skin cancer checks. So take you inside here, and it's actually pretty cool. They have exam rooms there, and another one over here. And this is Dr. Michelle Kerrigan, and you've been seeing people all day. Tell me, why is it so important that people come out and get checked?
Sure. So skin cancer is the most common type of cancer that people can get. Sometimes it can be really subtle, but sometimes it can be life-threatening. So it's important to see a board-certified dermatologist. If you ever have a spot that you're worried about or just wondering about, especially if you have a family history of skin cancer or a history of sunburns or tanning bed use.
Yeah, and a lot of people came out today with a spot or something they were worried about. In general, I mean, what did you find, and what does that say about how important this is?
Yeah, so we found a couple of skin cancers in some patients that we recommended that they have biopsied or that they come and see a dermatologist to get biopsied. So basal cell skin cancer and squamous cell skin cancer, which are some of the most common types of skin cancer.
Yeah, and I think that underlies, why it's so important to get checked. I mean, and how successful this is. Hopefully you caught something early, huh?
Yeah, this has been a great opportunity for some people that, may not have access or, just never thought about going to see a dermatologist. They got to come for free and get a full skin cancer screening, and we're happy to help them.
Absolutely. Dr. Rochelle Kerrigan, thank you for your time. And I'll just show you, this is just one of the rooms. It's pretty cool. They have another room on the other side. There's actually probably the last patient of the day is waiting over there. And yeah, I mean, it's I talked to one couple that actually just left, and they actually came all the way down from Dalton. They had some concerns about their skin and hadn't really been to a doctor in a while. Didn't have insurance, and drove an hour and a half just to come here and do this. So really providing great access for people. And as you heard Dr. Kerrigan say, I mean, it's been successful. It's successful when they're able to find and catch things.
Well, it's a great reminder to be vigilant about screening your skin for skin cancer, especially as we head into the summer, and to underscore how important it is to wear sunscreen. What a great concept, a great idea, and we appreciate those folks inviting us out to take a look this afternoon. Chris Rosenthal live. Chris, thanks. And thank you for joining us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody, but don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.